Oh geez, what to show. Gotta get a little bit more organized here. What can I show? What can I show? Got comics hanging out everywhere. Let me see. We got up here. More keys, more signed comics. Got a ton of them. What's down there? No. Really got a lot to put up. What's this? Oh, I think I found it. The cup runneth over. Yeah, it looks like it'll be a box of keys we'll go through. Back in the day, when I was first collecting comics in the late 70s, you didn't even think about collectibles. You were really just fascinated with the comics, and maybe you had a favorite artist or writer. And I'm sure there were people who were older who wanted those books back that their mother probably given away when they went off to college or went off to the military. So they'd come home and find out that their rooms had been cleaned out and their comic book collection was given away. But when I was growing up, in context to what I experienced and what I knew, these weren't called key comics. They were called collector's items. And the very first book I showed there was Son of the Ambush Bug, which of course is not really a collector's item unless all of a sudden we get an ambush bug movie or TV show. That's just really cool. But you would try to get the first appearances or the first issues. And right on the book, a lot of the times they would say, this is a collector's item. You have to buy this. They tempt you to buy this book because it's an investment. It's going to be worth something one day. The irony is by doing that and having you aware of this book might one day be in a big money and you can sell it or trade it off. Rarely, if ever, did those books actually become collector's items. So there was still a lot of fun in comics. You get the Marvel and you would get the DC. And if you were lucky enough to have a comic book shop, you got to experience the black and white boom, the Turtles, and anything that followed after that. But with my experience in the context for this video, you would always try to get those first issues, those number one issues, the death of a character in a book. And everybody was talking about X-Men. So Giant Size X-Men number one was the book that people would talk about. A lot of the stuff from the Silver Age just felt unattainable. But for some reason, the early X-Men books, John Byrne, Frank Miller, this is when you really started hearing about creators becoming stars. I mean, you still had Kirby and Ditko and their fans, the legends, but you started having people who were just a tad bit celebrity. So people would want everything from a writer, thinking everything was going to be great. In the midst of all of this, we were having Crisis on Infinite Earths, where everything was going to be rebooted, and people started wondering about, oh wow, we can get new number ones, new Justice League number one. We missed out. You just sort of wondered if all these number ones you were getting, were going to be an investment. Were they going to be collectibles? Time isn't over, and and I'm sitting here laughing because I was also thinking about there were universes starting to build and come out as number ones because everybody wanted to experience 1961 Marvel again. They wanted those Fantastic Four number ones, Spider-Man number ones, Amazing Spider-Man 15. Everybody knew these first appearances, and you would have people really getting hyped up. But unfortunately, that we had high print runs, accessibility to comics, everybody going after these books. There was a demand, and a lot of people bowing out when they were slowly starting to realize that death of Superman number 75 was not going to buy them a car, not get them a house, not put their kids through college. So at the end of the day, it's really cool to know what the key comics are. That's part of the fun, to go through that dollar bin and be like, what did I find while you're on the hunt, while you're out treasure hunting? And there's some things that have popped up over the years that I just sort of and me, not just me, but other seasoned collectors, the UPC symbol. As you can see there, the UPC symbol, like that one, shows it was a newsstand. Quite a bit of those. That's why I'm showing them. And then you had the ones where it wasn't a UPC symbol. It's Spider-Man's head or whatever was going on back in the day. Those are direct market books. A lot of people make a big difference about those. Now, it wasn't until the 90s boom with Image that people got rejuvenated again. And actually, I dabbled in trying to get key comics and keeping it with how much these books were worth. And I was absolutely miserable. That took a lot of the fun out of the hobby. I'm what you call a reader. That's what I was called by another YouTuber when I was commenting on their live show, that he's a reader. So apparently there's new classifications out there. But I never really saw a difference. It's actually with Image and Spawn, where I would get Spawn off the racks, off of the spinner racks, and then I was able to get one at a comic book shop. Of course, the one on the spinner rack had the UPC symbol, but it was the paper quality was way down compared to the direct market. To me, it was an inferior product. So I really don't understand the difference between the UPC symbols. I've heard many things about people who bought them off the rack, off the spinner racks, didn't take care of them and stuff, but that's a myth. I can tell you that's a myth. But the 90s had a lot of people thinking, between probably like 86, Marvel's 25th anniversary, and probably for the next, I would really guess 15 years after that. People were really jumping in on there trying to get these first issues, Image Comics, Ultimate Universe, all these reboots and Ultraverse, all these companies becoming big, all these new characters coming out because people were into creators' rights and owning their work. It was an exciting time if you were really trying to do that. Now, the speculation always came back down to first appearances, #1 issues, and deaths of characters. There would be crossover events and a lot of activity on there. And a lot of the stuff that actually became popular, that rose to the cream of, the cream rises to the top from the 90s, were some of the stuff that was really sort of overshadowed by big superhero comic books. Bone, Hellboy had its fans right off the bat, but nobody was really guessing that this character that popped up in New Mutants, John Byrne's Next Men #21, that would be a key comic. It was amazing. A lot of characters snuck under the radar to become big-time collector's items. Again, a lot of exciting things were happening. And the Silver Age books really started to dry up in the back issues and at comic book shops. When I finally got to go around, I worked at a comic book shop late 92, early 93. And I remember seeing a couple of comic book shop owners all kind of getting together while I was, behind the counter at this one comic book shop. A few of them sort of knew each other, and they were all really surprised how Silver Age books were starting to dry up and disappear. So it seems like the 90s, to me, with my experience in the context of what I've seen, it was really it was a combination of Valiant Comics, Image, and the death of Superman that really had a lot of speculation, a lot of people buying up stuff. A lot of money being spent. So despite the idea of people having their own language with keys, I am on record and documented here where I feel like I came up with the term Holy Grail for that one collectible book that you really wanted, that you get, one that you at least sleep over and would really fantasize about getting, always keep an eye out on it and be on the tip of your tongue. But I've got my Holy Grail comic. It's not shown here. But to me, it's cool to have keys and first appearances. And there's a whole new language out there of comic book talk, of grades, 9.8s, 9.2, 9.0s, and things like that. To me, they're always going to be collector's items, just from the era that I came from. No matter how I talk or how I say, they're collector's items. And the greatest thing about these collector's items is that you don't need a label on a book to love it.